In this video, we're going to look at flying first class during coronavirus. First class ain't what it used to be. Welcome everyone, I'm Mark and this is the Average Me channel. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to ask that you click my face to subscribe and don't forget to ring that bell icon so you know when I post new videos. I just returned from a pretty quick turnaround trip to Canada. It consisted of 4 flights, and for 3 of those 4 flights, I was upgraded to first class. And let me say, it was quite an experience to see what first class is like during coronavirus. Flying into Canada itself was an experience. If you look at my past video, you will see what I went through, because right now they have a mandatory 14-day quarantine period for anybody entering the country. So you might want to check that one out. But in this video, we're going to look at those first class flights. And my connection was in Detroit, so I thought I'd start off by showing you the Detroit Light Tunnel. If you've never been to that airport, it's unique to Detroit. It's an underground tunnel that connects, I believe, terminals A and B with terminal C. As you go through the tunnel, as far as I could tell, it's playing exclusively the old classic Motown music. Now, I could be wrong because, let's face it, you don't hang around in that light tunnel very long. But the interesting thing is, anybody and everybody has the power to turn that light show off. I suppose they might be a little concerned with people being afraid of it or having seizures or something along those lines. So by simply pressing a button on the wall, anybody can turn it off. But let's take a look at first class. So before you think that I am high flying, throw caution to the wind, spending money left and right, buying first class, no. I get my first class through free upgrades. I have never flown first class where I paid for it, but I have flown first class a lot of times. So it's interesting, not only as the years pass, but the sudden change that took place as soon as coronavirus started. The first thing I reminded myself to talk about is, how do you get notified of this first class upgrade in the first place? Well, I don't have very high status. This time I was traveling with Delta. And even though I fly a lot, I spread my travels out between a lot of airlines. Whatever happens to be the cheapest or has the best schedule is usually what I go with. Typically, it's spread between these 4 airlines that you see behind me: United, American, Southwest, and Delta. So as a result, I don't get extremely high status on any of them. So I do have silver with Delta, which means, yeah, the other, I don't even know what the levels are, gold, platinum, diamond, whatever they are, they're always going to have priority before me with getting upgrades. But right now, during this time of coronavirus, a lot of people are not traveling. So those planes aren't very full. And if you go a couple of videos back and watch my video where I talk about seat selection, you will see that there was a lot of open seats on these planes. And I suspected back then I was going to be getting some upgrades, and sure enough I was. So how do you get the upgrades? How are you notified? It really depends on the timing, how booked the flights are, what airline, a lot of different things. Sometimes you don't know until you actually are getting on the plane. As you're boarding with your boarding group, oftentimes when you scan your boarding pass, whether it be your phone or a paper pass, a little piece of paper pops up out of the machine and it looks like a receipt, and oh, I just got upgraded. And that's one of those great feelings. Of course, if you don't find out until you're boarding, you miss one of the benefits of an upgrade, and that's having an earlier boarding, which usually means you have a place to put your bags. With first class, it doesn't matter. They're going to find a place for your carry-on bag. First of all, the overhead bins are always dedicated to first class in that section. If they're full, the flight attendants will take your bag and they'll take care of you. Now, as I said, this week I kind of knew ahead of time, So for the return flight anyway, I knew because as soon as I checked in, and actually now that I think about it, I didn't have to check in. I checked my app and I just automatically checked in, and I saw the upgrade. It said Sky Priority on it, and I'll show it to you here. The interesting thing is, it still said my boarding group is Main 1. And Sky Priority and Main 1 are two different things. So when they board Sky Priority, that's when you should really go up, or actually in this case first class. Even though it doesn't say first class, you look at the seats and you're familiar with the plane, you'll know that 5C and 4C, which were both of those upgrades, are both first class. On the way out, the first class I got, I don't recall when I was notified, but I think it was when I got to the airport and I asked for a paper boarding pass, which I often do. And on there, it did say first. So it's kind of interesting that it says first on the paper boarding pass, but not on the electronic one on your phone. Sometimes, and a really neat way to find out that you get first class is they will have it on the board. You know, they have the TV in there and it's running different things cycling through. And oftentimes it will show all the people that are in line for an upgrade. And then it'll have your first initial and the first 2 or 3 letters of your last name, and it's in order. And it's almost like you're rooting for the lottery or something as those move up. And it shows how many empty seats are there. They're hoping that at the last minute someone's going to buy one of those first class or comfort seats. But if they don't, then they start filling in, and it's all right, I just got an upgrade, and you can walk up to the counter and you can get your upgraded boarding pass. Or you can just board with your zone, and then, like I said, that slip will pop up. So that's usually how you get notified. Now, I've been flying pretty regularly for about the past decade, and I can tell you, even during regular times, first class has really been pared down. I remember one of my first first class flights, and boy, I felt like I was royalty. They were giving you all kinds of fancy snacks. I remember getting a bowl of warm mixed nuts. I don't remember what else was on that tray, but it was a lot of really nice fancy snacks. And of course you get your free beverages, your alcoholic beverages. And then they gave you a warm, wet towel to wipe your hands off with. And it was just beautiful. If I remember correctly, you got a fresh fruit plate. And it was just so nice. And now, even when, I'm just talking about domestic now, but even when you fly first class, and it's a really long flight, I think over 4 hours, they don't really have a meal. And most of the time, they just come around with a basket. And I say just. I know it sounds like, boy, aren't you, hoity-toity. But remember, first class passengers are paying a lot of money for the most part to be up there. So they'll come around with a snack tray that might have the full-size, chips, rather than the little junior packets, and they'll have fresh fruit, bananas, and apples, and things of that nature. And you still get your free alcoholic beverages, but it really isn't like it used to be. I remember one of my longest first class flights where I kind of missed out on all the amenities. I was flying back to Wisconsin from Alaska, and it was a long flight. It was like a 5 or 6 hour flight. And as soon as I hit that chair, those nice big wide chairs that recline with the pillows and the blankets and all, I was out like a light, and I slept for the entire 5 hour flight. So I didn't get any snacks or meals or drinks or anything, but it was a relaxing flight. So what was it like this time? Well, first of all, let's talk about boarding. Usually, the first class passenger are the first ones to board. What's so great about that? What is the joy of sitting in an airplane longer than you have to? Well, when you get on that plane, it's nice. You get all your gear stowed, and while everybody else is filing past you, you're already sitting in that nice, big, wide, comfortable chair. They give you a drink right away, so you have a cocktail, maybe a snack. The planes that have the television screens, you could already be watching a movie, and other people are just filing in and struggling and bumping into each other, and it is so nice to just be relaxing like that. Not anymore. During COVID, they are now loading the planes from back to the front. So I guess the thought process is you're not passing by as many people, you're not bumping into as many people, all that. So they all file in, and then they fill up the plane from the back all the way up to the front. So who's up front? Well, first class. So rather than being the first people to go in and relax, you are pretty much the last people on. Now they do say first class, you may board at any time, but there's really no benefit to it any longer because they don't give you beverages, they don't give you snacks. We'll talk about that one in a minute. So the boarding is a little different. Now, once you get on the plane during coronavirus, everybody wears a mask. In fact, everybody wears a mask in most airports, and you have to keep it on the entire time on the plane, which is kind of strange. When they come and they give you a little bottle of water, how are you supposed to drink it? So you're constantly pulling your mask down and drinking and putting it up. You know, it's kind of a little game. And the other interesting thing, no longer are they serving beverages. What they do, oh, I didn't even bring it here. I was going to show it to you, and I didn't bring it here into the studio area, but I do have pictures of it. They are now passing out bags, sealable bags that have snacks in it. I only took pictures of 2 of them. You can see this one has the Biscoff crackers in it, or cookies, along with a little bottle of water. And then one of my flights on the way back that I took a picture of, you can see there's an Oreo cookie here, and a bag of crackers, and a bottle of water. Now, only one of the 3 first class flights I was on the past 2 days was I offered alcohol. And that was when we were landing in Toronto, and as we were making our approach, it was about, I don't know, a half hour out, she came up and said, would you like a beer? Well, it was 11 in the morning. I wasn't in the market for a bottle of beer at that point. So I thought that was interesting that they did only at one point offer a beverage, and that was a bottle of beer. They weren't even offering, cans of soda, which they often do in first class. So none of that. It was just this very sealed, sanitary bag that everybody on the whole plane got. There were no pillows. Even though the pillows are usually in sealed bags, no first class pillows. There were no blankets. I rarely, if ever, use the blanket, but I noticed they didn't have the blankets. So all of that you usually get in first class was no longer available. So what did you really get for first class? Well, the only thing you really got was that bigger, comfortable seat. I'm not complaining because I got it as a free upgrade. But I'll tell you, if you are paying those big old bucks to get an upgrade, and all you get is a bigger seat, I think that a lot of people would probably be grumbling. Let's take a look at what the seats actually look like. Now, these are first class seats on 2 different planes. This first one is an A321. It's a little larger plane. It's comparable to the Boeing 737. I like the 321 a little better. You can see that in the first class they had the televisions on the back of the headrest. And I did watch, pretty much I watched Big Bang Theory. I watched about 4 episodes all the way out of Canada into Detroit. And so it was nice to just have something to occupy your time and, keep you from thinking about how long the flight is, or what I'm not getting, or this uncomfortable mask, or whatever. The other plane I connected to is a CRJ 900, which is a smaller plane that you see here. That does not have any television on the back, and the seats were pretty comparable. Well, we talked about the boarding, we talked about the masks. It was weird this last flight because they wanted everybody to sit on the window, which to me seemed kind of strange because on the flight out they had them staggered. One by the window, and the next row by the aisle, then window, then aisle, and the opposite on the other side. Which seemed to me to make a whole lot of sense rather than having everybody line up where they're kind of close to each other. If they're staggered every other seat, then you're creating as much artificial distance as you can. So I thought that was a little unusual. When you are deplaning, when you're getting off the plane, what they did tell everybody to do, sit down, don't get your bags. Now, I'm not one of those people that jump up and I jump in the aisle and I'm anxious to get going. What I do like to do is get my bag so I can get everything put away that I was using on the plane. If I have my iPad or my earbuds or anything like that, I like that to get put away. So when it is my turn to go, I can go right away and I'm not tying up other people as they wait for me to get my stuff down from the overhead. I know that annoys a lot of people when they're waiting for one person, particularly if they have a connection to make. But now they specifically tell you remain seated until the person in front of you stands up, gets their bag, and starts down the aisle and they're 6 feet away from you. At that point, you can get up and get your bag. So it does take a lot longer in order to experience that deplaning process. So that's what the experience is like. It is quite a downgraded first class experience. I want to reiterate, I was still happy and excited. An upgrade's always fun, and I'm not complaining about it. I enjoyed my flights. They were comfortable flights. All I'm saying is, compared to what first class passengers are used to, it was considerably different. If you have different experiences, or if you want to ask me questions about flying during COVID or about first class flying, please leave them down below. I love to get those questions and I answer them as best as I can. I also ask that you please like and share the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking my face and don't forget to ring the bell icon. That way you will be the first one to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Mark, and this is the Average Me channel.